Good evening and welcome to Conversations with Cheryl Weston. Tonight we have another very special guest, Jenny Sinowicki, and we're going to be talking about something that I didn't even realize was available, but it's regarding a recent city council ordinance that was approved and passed on August the 6th. So I'm going to bring in special guests and we'll get started here. Hi, Jenny.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me? Everything okay?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We've got you. So,
Okay.
as I was telling our audience, you were our special guests for tonight, and we want to talk about an ordinance that or a law, a statute that I
Yeah.
didn't even know exists, but through what you have always been doing researching on every little item there, so you were able to pinpoint it,
Yeah.
find out that it was available.
Mm-hmm.
But we're addressing the fact of a ordinance that was put into place by the city council, voted on and approved on August the 6th regarding an amendment that they wanted to put on the ballot to change on the ballot for November 4th about a code of conduct for the city council members. And so you had sent in some opposition. I had sent
Mm-hmm.
in opposition. And there were quite a few others who had sent in opposition, as well as had come down and testified at the July 30th meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And our whole point was that we felt that it was rushed through, it was being rushed through.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for them to get this on the ballot in November, which will have approximately 13 different items that will be on the ballot to vote for. And it hasn't really been explained to the city citizens what
Mm-hmm.
this particular means and the need for it. And so we got together there shouldn't say every one of us, but most of us who were opposed to this have been in contact. And you took it upon to, when you found this statute that existed, and I want to be able to.
Yeah, and I can describe that statute if you would like. I don't have it in front of me, but I've looked at it so many times. I think I can give a rundown.
Well, I'm going to try to get it up there to help you. There
Oh,
you
okay, there
go.
you go. Yeah,
Yeah. So if
there
you
you go.
wanted to do that, and then we can go on what you've done since then. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, we can do that. Do you want me to
you
kind
go
of?
right ahead. There's the statute. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the 2023 revised statute I found online that exists. So this
Mm-hmm.
would be the latest, or
Okay.
should be the latest.
Yeah, well, and what's interesting is I came across this from doing a mincing of words within a Google search, and it was at a time when an ordinance was being introduced that was a little controversial and it had passed. And I was
Mhm.
thinking in my mind, there seems to be different checks in government to address different situations. And so I had thought, so if something passes, what, that's it, that's it. And so I started to Google search whether or not there's a check or some sort of petitioning process
Mhm.
where the public could check ordinances, try to overturn ordinances that are passed. And so just from a Google search, I came across this Nebraska State Statute 14211. And in reading through it, I know, so when an ordinance is passed, it cannot, and it depends on what the ordinance is.
Mhm.
And I had tried to petition the charter amendment, which was an ordinance that passed, but the city told me that I could not petition that. And so, and I
Is there a
don't,
reason why?
and you know what's interesting? I did reach out to the city law department to ask more about that. Well, the reason they stated was that the charter amendment was administrative, not legislative. Therefore, it went into effect immediately. And so I reached out to the city law department and I asked them what code do they follow to determine whether or not something is administrative or legislative, like what, like where is that? And it was said to me, and actually, you know what? Do you mind if I just, I don't want to give people false information. And I have my email open up right here. Where is it? I got it right here. Okay, legislative acts generally amend the law, which in this case of the city is the code. The law department is ultimately responsible for determining whether something is legislative or administrative. The charter distinguishes between these types of acts, but does not provide definitions. So to me, there seems to be a lot of gray area within there. So,
well, it kind of seems like they're saying the city has the right to arbitrarily make that decision as to whether this is legislative or administrative. And I was talking with someone in the legislature, and they weren't real clear, but they would tend to think that if anything's legislative, it would more have to come from the legislative department, which would not be the city of Omaha. So we want to take that in, but could you go back before they get lost? Is the charter amendment is what it takes to put it on the ballot?
Yeah, so
could you clarify?
Yeah, well, so the charter amendment is separate from it's separate from the ordinance. That's the code of conduct. There's two separate things, but they're tied together.
Correct.
And so the charter amendment that passed, the charter amendment is amendment that will go into our charter, which is our constitution. So it's an amendment. So that requires not just a passage of the city council, that requires a passage of us. We vote on that.
On the ballot, November 4th.
Yes.
I want to keep
I think it's 5th.
I want to keep putting that out so maybe people will be looking for it. You know, our hope is to get more, but maybe if we can get more information out to people to understand, look for this ballot. And if you vote a yes, you're voting for it. If you vote no, you're voting against. So that's the reason why I might keep interjecting that this is a ballot referendum. Go ahead.
Yeah, the charter amendment is on the ballot. And the charter amendment, which is also part of my issue with it, and I don't understand how this is able to happen or if it's supposed to happen this way. The charter amendment has 3 different violations on it of a council member as means for removal. So the first one is if they move out of their district, unless it's due to redistricting, which you will not see that on the ballot. The only thing you'll see on the ballot is that they can be removed for moving out of the district. That's the first one. The second one is if they miss 4 consecutive meetings unexcused. And then the third item in that one amendment is the code of conduct, where a council member can be removed for basically violating the code of conduct, which is the separate that they adopt, which is the separate ordinance. And so with that charter amendment, my issue number 1 with it is that you have 3 different violations in one. So when people go to vote on that amendment, they don't get to answer to all 3 of those violations. They have to answer to all of them together. So for all 3 of those, they're grouped together. It's all or nothing, yes or no. I don't think that's right. And I think those 3 different violations should have been separated. But the second part of that is the third item, the code of conduct, that a
Right.
council member can be removed from office based on an adopted code of conduct. And that code of conduct, they passed, the
Mhm.
council passed, and that's the ordinance that's being petitioned right now. And that's an ordinance, so it goes into our city's municipal code, which is like our book of laws. And only the city council, it only needs city council approval. So you
Mhm.
have this that the voters are voting on, and then you have the ordinance that only city council approves, but yet an item in that amendment that we're voting on, its effectiveness is dependent on this ordinance, but we don't
Mhm.
get to vote on that. And so that there's a big issue with how they sort of put this together and maneuvered it. It kind of baffles me personally.
It
It just,
doesn't baffle me because they do it all the time. What it is that we as citizens of Omaha who vote, um, we we have become so apathetic, I guess would be the word, to what it is. We don't pay attention. I understand we have so much more going on in our lives, but we need to come to a fact, to understand that the city council is what makes rules and regulations for our everyday life. And the
yeah.
city council is almost more important than when we have a national election. Granted, it is very important who is at the very, very top, but we need to become more involved in knowing who we are electing instead of just taking that position. Oh, okay, whoever, I don't want to do it. So if they want to step up to the plate and do it, we know. But that can come back, and more people are realizing that when we are getting things like the streetcar that's
Mm-hmm.
going to be put in, which wasn't really versed before the public. The library, the Mutual of Omaha, all of those things, people who are watching, do you not understand? Those are things that you, as a citizen of Omaha, a voting citizen, had a right to be more informed upon. And
Mm-hmm.
the ideal that this isn't going to, yes, it is going to cost you. It's going to cost you one way or another, because the week before, I believe it was, that they, or maybe 2 weeks, there was like, I don't know, 7, 9 different ordinances that were passed regarding being able to do the obligation bonds in order to do, and I mean, that was millions and millions. One was 70 million, 90 million, 50, all of those. Just people sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't take a whole lot to figure out where's that going to come from. And
Mm-hmm.
you are going to end up, as we've heard from our mayor, Queen Mayor, several times, that it's not going to cost us, the taxpayer. It is going to end up eventually costing. So we're going to get back on this, and I apologize for getting off on that, but I guess I'm just
Yeah,
trying
no,
to
you're fine.
encourage people that, just as you pointed out, here are 3 different things that are being rushed through to be put on a ballot. When you, the citizens who are voting, and I do believe this election will be one of the largest turnouts we've had in, I don't know when,
Mm-hmm.
probably since 2008 or so. But this is really important. This minute, you
Mm-hmm.
said there were 3. We only get 1 vote. We don't get to
Mm-hmm.
vote for 3 votes. 3. We get 1 vote because everything was lumped in to this one
Mm-hmm.
charter request.
Yeah.
Did I get that all straight?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Um, yeah, well, and then you have again
Mhm.
the topic here of what's being petitioned, the separate ordinance that's tied to one of those things that's on the charter amendment. And
Right.
so, yeah. Um, yeah, so I can keep talking about the statute if you'd like, or
It's what this kind of let you go with this, because I wanted to bring it out. Once you've seen this, and what you've done now is you wrote the petition,
so and
according to your understanding.
Yeah, so, and I, had a friend, who does community work, that, basically put the petition together, because when I got a response from the clerk, cause I've never started a petition before,
Mhm.
I just came across that statute, I read through it, and it was clear to me that an ordinance, um, general ordinances, that sorry, I get too specific. General ordinances that don't take that have a 15-day waiting period
Mhm.
can be petitioned within those 15 days,
Right.
which is a very small window.
Mhm.
So we only have 15 days with this petition. And
Okay.
so I reached out to the clerk, and it's based on final passage, which would mean the mayor signing it, reached out to the clerk and said the day that they passed it, August 6th, if the mayor does not veto it, I would like to move forward with petitioning this ordinance based on Nebraska State Statute 14-11. And so I did a follow-up message to ask some questions, because I was thinking, I don't even know like what the next steps would be. I was to get more information. And so there just was some back and forth with the clerk and I. And she had to reach out to the election commission. And and then she provided some information to me, and that's when it was said to me that the charter amendment couldn't be petitioned, but the ordinance could. And she had said, when the mayor had, was it signed it, so the
Mhm.
final passage. And so it just started from there, and I had reached out to a friend who put the petition together, because I was lost and I wasn't sure how to do that.
Mhm.
Uh, so a community member helped me with that. I submitted it to the clerk. The clerk reviewed it. I was getting kind of concerned though, because it was getting to the end of Friday, and this is a 15-day window. We can't wait until Monday. And the election commission, it sounds like, had said the formatting was fine, sent it back to city. And it was when I followed up with city that it was stated to me that it was in compliance with statute, but there was a list of suggestions of changes, and it was requested for me to make the changes and send those back for review. Um,
And
and
go ahead. Mhm.
yeah, no, and well, and so I'm gonna kind of jump into the gray area here. I was a little confused by that, because I did not see anything in state statute where I had to go through this review process necessarily of, changing these very minuscule things, and some of which was requested was different from what the statute was showing. And so I just had said, thank you for the suggestions. As you said, this is in compliance. I will consider the suggestions, but I will not send this back for review. I'm moving forward with the petition. So yeah, so the petition officially started basically Saturday, and we have until August 22nd to get 1,901 signatures,
Mhm.
which is 15% of the last election of a single council member, the most votes, if that makes sense. I don't know if I said that
That
in a
was what the statute says. Yeah,
yeah.
15% of the council member who received the most votes, and it turned out the council member who received the most votes was Brinker Harding with close to 13,000 votes. So they took 15% of that, and that's how they came up with the 1,900 and something, which it's always best to have at least 300
Yeah.
plus. So you've got,
Hmm.
unfortunately, I thought I was going to be able to bring up that your petition So Jenny, how can people who want to sign this petition, how can they get, and is it in touch with you? Is there a number they can call and we can have?
Yeah, they can, so step number one, I created a Facebook page, and I should pull up the title of that. So the title of the Facebook page is Petition to Reconsider City Council Code of Conduct. And then on that page, let me go to it. My email, I have a Gmail that I
Okay.
don't use as often. I
Mhm.
didn't want to use my main email because I didn't want other things to get lost in there.
Correct.
So I have a separate Gmail account that you can email if you want to get more involved, if you want to be a circulator of the petition, or if you just want to help spread the word on things, or even inviting me to an event. I don't mind being there and collecting signatures and even explaining to people what the petition is for and what's going on with it. So my email, I don't know if I should say it on here or just
The email that you want people to use would be the best thing.
Yeah, so the email that's on the page and to get into contact with me is Sinowiki, SY.
I just
Okay.
learned. I think I've got it real good now. I practiced it. I was having you laugh because I practiced it. I had to say 16 times. Sinowiki. So I think
Yeah.
I've got it now, but I know most people won't. So if you want to say it again and then spell it, and then I'll try to make sure that I get that Facebook
Oh,
page.
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought I had it here where I could share it with everyone and pull it up, but it didn't work. So I'll see if I can get that included into the recording before we
Oh, okay.
introduce it. But go ahead and spell that out to people.
Yeah, yeah. So it's Sinowiki, SYNOWIECKI
Uh-huh.
10 at gmail.com.
Okay.
So I'll say it a little bit quicker again. SYNOWIECKI 10 at gmail.com.
That'll be good.
And
Okay.
it's on that page, petition to reconsider city council code of conduct. And I also post on there, for the most part where I'm at, this has kind of been trial and error for me in terms of collecting signatures. I think with because the initial day I went to the Jean Leahy Mall, let people know I was there and I was talking to strangers, about the petition. And it appeared, people were genuinely interested in what I was petitioning. But I got a lot of response of people saying that they just don't know much about it or they haven't seen much about it, which really indicated to me, I think there needs to be more outreach, either from city or city council in terms of town halls and informing people of what's happening at the city level. So I was kind of petitioning, approaching random strangers. And so I think I've we're in day 2, kind of switched to really tapping into my circle because I know I have people within my circle that support this. And there's people that I know that want to sign it, but haven't signed it yet. And so I've kind of shied away from maybe focusing on like getting signatures from strangers and focusing on my circle that is seeing more of what I'm posting and more of what I put out on social media. And so yeah, in terms of petitioning, collecting signatures, been doing quite a bit of that. And then there's some other circulators that are getting involved and kind of tapping into different circles within Omaha. So,
and I want to put it out to the audience is we don't need, and I'm going to be trying to get some signatures and I was actually at an event today and there was a circular, so was able to do that. This is all volunteer. We don't have any
Okay.
paid circulars. And what you have to remember is this does not have to be those 2,000 signatures or 2,500 signatures that we want do not have to come from any certain district. They can be from all over. So hopefully maybe we will be able to get like on the weekend or something, maybe at one of the malls or several, if some of your circle might be able to be at the
Yeah.
malls this Sunday, because it does not have to come from any one district. And there's not like a percent, oh, you have to have 5% from this one. Nope, it can come from any district, as long as they are a registered voter. And that's once those are received and those get to the Douglas County Commissioner's office, that's what they will confirm those signatures. So Jenny, let's say once we get those 2,500, do you turn those over to the city clerk or do you turn them over to the, can you tell the audience what that process will be?
I was told that those need to be handed into the city clerk's office by August 22nd, 4:30 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, so whoever is working on sheets, circulating the petition, I mean, and as you said, this is community led. There's no organizations involved in this. It's really just been community members kind of helping each other out and helping me sort of navigate that. I've gotten guidance from community members on this as well. And just kind of helping to guide people. So, I mean, if you are a circulator, you're in charge of your sheets, you want to make sure you keep your sheets together. You would need to get those notarized after you collect signatures. And I've been trying to keep in touch and track a little bit of who might be involved. And I have a community member helping me with that. They've been pretty connected with others. And I think as we get closer to that August 22nd date, kind of start bringing people in, and seeing where we're at. So, yeah.
So what I'd like to say, if there's anyone out there that supports this, that we need to get more involved in knowing what our city council, those rules and ordinance that are being passed, people, it's up to you to make a difference. And, you know, one person can make, because we're one vote. And that's one of the reasons why we were so strongly opposed to this, that, you know, as I said, it was a very diverse crowd who came before the city council and spoke, is that it is going to affect not just your district, but every district, every representative was on there. It will make a difference. And we have to become more where we get involved, because our rights, ours is taking, these are people who are making those decisions about us. And in order to get this, like I said, they rushed this through so that it could be on to the Douglas County Commissioner's office by September 1st, because all things that want to be on that ballot have to be turned in no later than that September 1st deadline. That is it. But anything else you'd like to say to the audience, Jenny, is I was hoping I would get it, but it still hasn't come up.
Okay.
Anything on the agenda? Go ahead.
Are you talking about the petition?
Yes. Anything else you want to say about that petition? And if you would repeat your Facebook page again, petition.
Okay, yeah. So the Facebook page, again, trial and error, should have probably came up with a shorter name. But petition to reconsider city council code of conduct.
Okay.
Yeah, petition to reconsider city council code of conduct. And I do want to talk through that just really quick. I do want to emphasize Okay. So in
Sometimes
that
we can talk
process,
too quickly and the audience is like, well, what did she say?
yeah. Uh, um, so it is a petition for the city council to reconsider the ordinance, and so I want to explain that really quick. So my understanding of that
Mhm.
is if we were to be successful and get enough signatures, then this ordinance would have to be placed back on the agenda and the city council would have to reconsider it.
Mhm.
Um, and if they decide not to reconsider it, then it says the city council has to put it on the ballot as a ballot measure for the people to vote on whether or not to pass it. So and that would happen even if it was prior to September 1st, which I don't think it would be. It would not go on the November ballot either way, because the way the statute's written is
Right.
it would go on the city during the city election
It
cycle.
would go on the next cycle,
Mhm.
at the primary and the general. It can go on either one, but it would not make the November 4th ballot. That's the
Mhm.
main thing. So therefore, it's not going to take in place. So, yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah. Well, I think, anything else you would like to put out there?
One, I don't know when this goes out, but I know for certain I'll be back at the Jean Leahy Mall for a short period between 4 to 6:30 if
Mhm.
anyone wants to come by and get a signature. So
And
that
then,
would be Tuesday, August what is Tuesday?
uh,
August 13th.
18th. Yep, because that's city council. They have the council hearing on the budget. Each department has a hearing set up
Mhm.
for Tuesday. So people, I just want to make sure, and then I think we'll put it towards the end again, her Facebook page, which is Petition to Recall the
Reconsider.
reconsider
Yeah.
code of conduct for city
Mhm.
council. And then on there, you'll be able to see where you can get more information. We love to have people, take out a petition and just spend a little time in it. It gets where if you got a petition and you're trying to go get signatures within your neighborhood, you get a chance to speak to your neighbors
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
maybe might enlighten them, and we might get more participation involved into what goes on at the city council and who our representatives are for each district. So people, we just need to get back into our civic duty. We used to do this, but this is enlightening to be able to be more involved in what happens in our city. So I thank you, Jenny, for coming on, and hopefully we will be able to get more people interested. And I always like to think positive. I'm not going to say anything that it's not if we do it or when, it's when we do it. And we got January, August the 22nd. So it's not over until it's over. So
Mhm.
hopefully everyone's going to get out and participate. So anyone who wants to be involved, this is going to be your opportunity. You can also, if you would like, you can send an email or something to conversations. Well, let me see. It'll be cwcwomaha@gmail.com. That's cwcwomaha@gmail.com, which is conversations with Cheryl Weston. That's what that CWCW means. So you can do that, and I will make sure that we get in touch with you and give you some petitions. I do have a copy of it, so we'll make sure that that gets out. But this is really, and Jenny, I don't think people say, well, you didn't get it. No, you never fail. And only time you can have failure is if you don't try.
Mhm.
And I really appreciate you taking this on and getting it out there. And that's the reason why I
Mhm.
intend to try to do what I can do. and
Mhm.
we'll move forward. And I
Yeah.
we'll put the Facebook page, her email that you can send something to, and cwcwomaha@gmail.com. You can send anything there and we'll make sure and make this happen. If one thing you can take with you, Jenny, it's a
Mhm.
wake up call to the city council. It's not business as usual.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
So,
I
we will
well,
end it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, no, and I think that's the thing that kind of bothers me to my core. I did watch public comment on this ordinance along with the charter amendment, and
Mhm,
it just was such well thought out, great suggestions, great points,
mhm,
great uh comments on the item, and very impassioned. And for city council, especially for this ordinance, there were no changes or
mhm.
edits to this ordinance. For them
No.
to not make any, not reconsider, make any edits after that public testimony, after all the letters that came through, and then to just vote it through,
Mhm,
I just, it really bothers me because it seemed rushed, it seemed
mhm.
unorganized, and it doesn't seem like good governance.
Yeah,
And so it's not fair to us. It's not fair to the people.
exactly. So one of the other things that I think come out of this is, it is drawing attention, but it's also drawing attention that we have to get up and do something come next year for
Mhm.
our election, our city council. And maybe this, with along of a few other things that's been happening, these ordinance and things are just passed, just cavalier, just, hey, we come up with it. Nobody's really gonna notice it. Oh, except for maybe the few same ones that complain about everything or question. And I don't think, when you people say, well, you're complaining. No, it's not. It's that you're questioning. And
Mhm.
we should stop
Mhm.
being so accommodating that we don't question.
Mhm.
I think that's really important. And as you said, I remember being here that day and I watched some of the city council members. And as I said before, I think they one or two of those city council members, I would say one was very disrespectful to the people that came down to there. When you don't listen to someone who has come before you to speak, I find that disrespectful. And
Mhm.
that isn't in that ordinance. What about the people? Where do we have a right other than to wait until 4 years to vote you in or out again? I think that was very disrespectful, especially when I've heard that individual speak multiple times about how we appreciate you coming down here. We want you to come down. And then you don't even have your head up and look at an individual. Because my parents always taught me, you look at somebody when you're talking to them, look at them. You owe
Mhm.
that to them. Not that you can't take notes. That's not anybody can take notes. But when you are constantly with your head down, writing, that is very disrespectful. So,
Mhm.
okay, I got my part out. And I hope this will help.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jenny. We appreciate you coming
Mhm.
on.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
All
I
right, we'll get this
Mhm.
going.
Yep, sounds good. All right.